Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now, today I'm joined by Brian, who is a big Arsenal fan, and we're going to be chatting about Arsenal today. And obviously, as we're recording this, it's the international break, so we are having a bit of a break from Arsenal. But yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be on.
Oh, no worries. I'm really looking forward to this. And I thought before we chat a bit about Arsenal season and all of that, I thought you could tell people a bit about your journey, how you became an Arsenal fan, and sort of your favourite players growing up.
Sure. For me, I really what sold me on Arsenal and got me involved big time was the Invincibles.
Yeah.
It was the Invincibles and Thierry Henry. It's kind of different, of course. Living in the United States, of course, over in England and everything, football is just primary. That's what you play is football.
Yeah.
And here it's soccer. We call it basketball and football and hockey and baseball, everything. So I definitely played a lot of soccer and football growing up, but I had a lot of competition for the other sports. And so I didn't really get massively into soccer probably until I was about 18. And the Invincibles really did it for me. And Patrick Vieira and obviously Thierry Henry and that whole team. Arsene Wenger was just an absolute just revelation to me. I still call him my forever boss, even though
Oh,
Super
I love
Mick,
that.
yeah, Super Mick is the boss. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Wenger, I just love the way that he went about himself. And really, if my favorite player for Arsenal ever is always going to be Thierry Henry, I just cannot help it.
Yeah.
He embodied it all.
Yeah, you can't blame him. That he was one of the best, to be
He
honest.
was he was just one of the best, really modern day Premier League players to ever play the game for sure.
I love that. The Invincibles were just amazing. I mean, it was a bit before my time, but I just love watching it back. Just the
Oh yeah.
players we had. I mean, compared to, I mean, now we've got some great players, of course, but the squad then, like Bergkamp and Pires, and we could go on all day and chat about them. And yeah, I love that. I think it's amazing. I mean, Wenger for me, like. I sort of watched Arsenal like around 2014, but I just love Wenger, like, he was such a classy person as well. I
Mm,
think as a person as well, everyone knows what an amazing person, but, even in his not his best years, he still won us FA Cups, and he still gave us
mhm.
so many incredible moments, and I always love, like, hearing people's stories, looking back on those memories. It's always just so amazing.
It really is, and we can take current state Arsenal and look at the squads we put out week in week out, and right now it's fantastic. I love the development and everything. And if you want to go back to even around those 2014, maybe even
Yeah.
2010 days, some of those squads Arsenal threw out. I don't know how Wenger did it. I
Yeah,
truly don't.
honestly.
We always everybody hated on Arsenal so much because he always got that fourth coveted Champions League spot, and that's Arsenal's trophy is that. But man, we took that for granted almost for so many years. How he allowed where the Emirates to get built and financed through that. He had to take the hit for that. He could not sign probably players he wanted to get. So
Yeah.
he deserves a statue for sure.
Yeah, like you said, because like even when he had players we knew probably weren't good enough or weren't at that level, and he still managed to, get us top four or get us to FA Cup finals, like winning those trophies. I know it wasn't quite a league title, but he sort of had to do that on his own, and I don't think he ever got the credit for that. I know as a club we should be winning leagues and challenging every season, but I think when you're faced with those difficult times, I think it just shows you how loyal he was to us, and I always admired that about him because he always spoke about, having offers in different places. I think like Madrid and other places, and he could have gone, he could have left us, but I think it's so amazing that he really stood by us, and the legacy he left was truly amazing.
He was, and I mean, quite honestly, I did not want him to leave. I know that
Mm,
the Vanger out signs were making it all across the internet and everywhere, but
mm.
I'm always one of those people that's great that you want to make a change, but where's your replacement? What's your plan for the
Yeah,
change?
exactly.
And you talk about his history of what he did. It's like I don't, Emery, which I'm a big fan of Emery. I think he's a passionate guy, and I just didn't think it worked for Arsenal. I'm glad to see him succeeding at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So I mean, he probably got a raw deal a little bit because following Wenger is I don't even know what to compare that to.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like you look at the squads like Emery had, like when Wenger just left, like it was a bit of a mess. I mean, we had so many good players that we sort of needed a manager to sort of get the best out of them, and we had players that we're probably gonna. I mean, Özil's a good example. Like we always knew he's a great player, but we sort of knew he was probably going for his final years as like at Arsenal, and I think it was always hard on Emery. I think Emery's a great manager, like you said. I never felt that connection with him like I do with Arteta, but I do believe that he is an amazing coach, and I think for Villa, he's a really good fit because Villa, getting top four is a massive achievement,
Mhm.
and I think he just suits really well at Villa, doesn't he?
He does. I don't want to even say it like this, but because Aston Villa is trending very well, but I think a team with Emery really succeeds without any like clear superstars. If he's got a squad of people that are going to listen to him, like exactly everything he says, I think that guy can. The sky's the limit. But that's tough to do with personalities and stuff in the squad
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah, it was so hard because I think at that time we had a lot of personalities and around the team, and I think now we sort of know Odegaard's the perfect captain for us, and I think we were
mm,
trying to figure out sort of the leaders around our team and finding the right squad, and it's so nice now we're looking back at how far we've come because the squad we used to have to now it's a massive improvement. I mean, the Europa League final is a good example because
yeah,
you look at the squad now and I think no wonder we didn't win because it probably wasn't really at that level, but we still had, amazing players down in it. Like, it's just great to see how far we've come. And I wanted to just ask you a bit about Arteta because I do feel bad for him sometimes because I think people don't give him the credit, outside of
mm,
Arsenal. I think as fans, we all see what he's doing. But
mm,
I think because he's not really winning titles yet, he's not really getting that sort of credit. Like I think rival fans look at him and think he has improved Arsenal, but obviously
mm.
when you look at a manager's legacy, it is sort of down to what they've achieved at a club.
Yeah. Oh man, and I give Super Mick, the all the credit in the world.
I love that.
I am just enamored with him. He's one of us. He is on that sideline. He is one of us, and he's that passionate. And yes, the trophies haven't, come circling in yet. But I mean, just look at the City game. We can compare that fixture 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. That last game was nothing like those other ones. He has transformed the belief with these players, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that Odegaard is a great captain for Arsenal. I
Yeah,
just what is it about too is having somebody that's an offensive minded player being the captain. I love that for some reason. I usually feel like the defensive midfielder, the holding midfielder, the center backs, or those character guys that you usually put with the
yeah,
C on them. But I look around this current team and I just that's all I see is leaders. But I see leaders in different ways. Um,
yeah,
I feel like there's just a lot of Odegaard of lead by example in a way. But Saka, I love his leadership. That guy he doesn't get nervous, he doesn't panic, he does not. He's one of the most incredible footballers
yeah,
I've watched in my life, and I think we have maybe Emery a little bit to maybe thank for his
mm,
transition into the first team uh,
yeah, definitely.
at left back, I believe. But we put Saka in goal, he'll make something work.
Yeah, it'll work. Yeah,
He just got the best attitude about that going forward, and with Mick, I know that they haven't rolled in yet the trophies, but Mikel is just he's a player I always admired, especially in his Everton days. Like I think people forget just the type of player he was. He was almost kind of a human highlight reel at times with Everton. And
yeah,
Arsenal loses Cesc, which was devastating. I love Cesc Fabregas so much, but I understood he wanted to go back to Barcelona. I didn't really harbor any hatred for him there, but I I feel like Arteta was signed to really be Cesc Fabregas, even though I'm not sure he really ever was that
yeah.
kind of player. And I feel like he wasn't that tackling, ball winning midfielder, even though he can do that, but I just don't think that was in his skill set. And I feel like he never really got to shine as much as he could have for Arsenal, but he was what a
Mm.
fantastic player.
It's interesting because, like, I know when you ask a lot of people about Arteta as a player, they don't really sort of. Some people say he was okay, but they don't really put him on a high level. But
Right.
I think, I think Arteta was a very. I think he was a good player who will always give his all for the club. And it's interesting, like when you watched his interview when he left Arsenal, like he was crying and he had tears in his eyes, and I think he really can really believe in his, passion and love for Arsenal. And I think
Mhm.
him coming back felt like it was just written in the stars. You look back on some of his interviews and, the way he used to talk about Arsenal. And I think when he came in, a lot of people probably thought, he's not got that experience. And I think in time it's sort of shown you that he's very smart. He's got a really clever football brain, and obviously he's worked under Pep. So I think he didn't really need to obviously go out and do what Klopp's done. I mean, obviously in time we'll see if Arteta can win us things, but I do really believe that we are going on the right path for Arteta. I think it's amazing, his passion, and like you said, he's one of us. You could really feel that. We all, have respect for Emery and what he's done, but Arteta, it just feels different, doesn't it? It feels like he just really understands what it's like to be an Arsenal fan, what it's like to go through all of these emotions. Like on the touchline, you can really feel sort of his passion, his raw emotion, can't you?
You can, and I watch him every single game, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you could strap on a pair of boots and still get out there.
Yeah, me too.
I
Like
mean,
get on the pitch. Yeah, if we need
he keeps
you.
himself in fantastic shape, and yeah, I've got nothing but singing his praises because really, I guess it really was before Emery came on board. I remember Arteta was kind of rumored with the job.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if he might have interviewed, and I never was against him, but I was like,
Hmm.
are we ready for your first real gig to do that?
Yeah.
So we had Emery, and I'm like, okay, I know him from PSG at least. I know he's very tactical. He's very involved. And I'm like, that's a good thing. I think Wenger was so good at, I signed you to be you. You go out there and be you. And that's kind of what, Wenger did. And Emery was more like, no, you're going to have more instruction. You're going to have more
Yeah.
tactical, assignments, if you will. So what I really love about Arteta when he finally did come in, it does show like what you were alluding to a little bit with his strategic mind that he has, and the football mind is just absolutely brilliant. But I think even off the field, just about management, I think he's just a brilliant guy because he came in and he really didn't clean house per se. I think he laid a good foundation with what he had, able to win an FA Cup, which is no easy feat whatsoever. And he's slowly just implemented his plan as we've gone along. And, we're at this point now. I know he said it's going to go bang, and it went bang last year.
Yeah.
It really did. And this year, the momentum's going forward. As long as these referees get their act together.
Yeah, it's not great with referees thing, and it never has been. But yeah, I
Right.
do. Yeah, I do agree. I think it was hard because like when like the phrase you just said like about the project going bang, we always like it felt like at the time it was sort of all talk, and we sort of knew in time hopefully we would see it, and now we are really seeing that the success is coming and it's going to
Mhm.
come. I mean, I think there's so much more as well. I mean, success is obviously what you want as a club, but I think as well you're really seeing sort of like, you look at the Emirates, everyone used to say, oh my God, it's a library, it's dead quiet. And there used to be, when Wenger left, there was a really bad atmosphere between
Mhm.
fans, and we sort of didn't know where we were going from here. And it feels like we're in a really good place as a club, which is what we want. And I wanted to ask you a bit about the season because obviously last season it was so disappointing sort of how it ended, but I felt so proud of the team and I
Mhm.
felt like we couldn't have done any more. I know there's like a few games where we look back on and think, oh, we should have beaten Fulham, we should have beaten West
Mhm.
Ham, but overall, we did very well. We tried till the end, and I just wanted to ask you how you're feeling about the season because I know there's been a few games like the Leicester game, which we didn't make it easy for ourselves,
We
but
did
we're
not.
still finding ways to get those wins. And I think if we want to win the league, this is what we've got to do.
Good teams find ways to win games. There's no doubt about that. And as much as I dislike them, I don't necessarily hate Manchester City in my core kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's starting to feel that way. But I have a lot of respect for what they've done and the way they're able to perform and execute on the field has been pretty, pretty impressive. But when you have that kind of money, it's kind of easy to maybe do that. But very early on in this season, like yourself, I mean, last year I thought was a fantastic season. Just
yeah,
because you didn't take away the league does not mean that's a negative season by any means. So do I think when Saka's coming out and saying he thinks this is going to be the year we win the league? I completely believe him. I
yeah,
think we got it in us, and City's going to challenge it all the way. It could be exactly like last season, quite honestly. But with picking up the point that we got there, even though we should have had two more, uh, will go a long way. I think I'm very much looking forward to
yeah.
next year at the Emirates with City.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the way we performed against Man City, like we were so close to winning, and that honestly it was so I felt so heartbroken because I knew I could feel it was happening, and it was funny because I was sat with a Man City fan watching the game, and I just thought we're so close to winning. I just wanted to brag about it, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then it happened at the end, and I thought, oh, that's annoying, but. I think what we're sort of seeing with Arsenal now is that I think Man City know that we've worked them out now, like Haaland as well. I know Haaland did score, but we're sort of working them out, and we know sort of how to perform against them and how to get a win. And I just think in that game, I just thought we could have won that, and we were so good in that game. And
Mhm.
I think it's always a long season. It's always hard to say right now, and I think it's probably too early on because Liverpool are also you could put I think you should put them in the conversation because I think a lot of people have written Liverpool off, but
Not me.
I do think, who comes first and second probably would be Arsenal Man City between us. But I think as well, Rodri's out, which obviously
Mm.
I always say I never wish an injury like that on anyone, but
No.
it possibly puts us in a better position because when he's playing, they're more likely to win games with him there, and obviously he's not there, and they're going to struggle without him. I mean, I think we've done quite good without Odegaard. Like you can see, we miss him. You can see
Mhm.
that his creativity is so missed, and obviously him as a person, as a captain, you miss that on the pitch. But I feel like we're doing really well for Odegaard. I mean, Odegaard seems to be training a bit, and hopefully it'll be back after the break.
Mm.
But obviously Trossard, playing in that position has helped. I mean, I'm happy that Havertz hasn't really done that too much because Havertz is always better up top. But yeah, I
Mm.
just wanted to sort of get your thoughts on sort of how we've out, Odegaard, because you know what, he was a big loss, and especially going into that Man City game, I was sort of worrying if we're going to lose that game without him.
Yeah, I was, he's our offensive spark for sure. I mean, he's pretty much the only guy on our squad that kind of has the free
Mm,
reign. You do you, Odegaard. That's what you do. Go out and do you. And I was a little bit,
mm,
hesitant about the game because of that, but he offers us a lot, but I think we're very, very, very strong in the midfield position. I wasn't surprised they didn't go out and get a striker, especially with kind of Kai coming into his own there. I can't sing enough praises about him as well. I love to watch him play. The one thing about Havertz, I guess I wasn't very familiar with is his grit.
yeah, it's
He's angry
determination.
out there. Like
Yeah.
I love it. That's kind of the kind of way I am when I'm playing. I like to get underneath people's skin, get a little physical. And really with Arteta coming from Pep at City, City really didn't have a clear and cut striker besides Aguero and now Holland. They in Pep's
Mm,
mind, he'll want 11 midfielders out there if he could. So that's why I thought Arteta would go. But I do think it's going to have to be something Arsenal addresses probably summer. But because I want Jesus to succeed. I really do like him as a
mm,
player. I love his pressing when he's out there. I think he's a smart guy, but it's going to be tough for him to really get in this team. I think the first team is on a consistent basis with Havertz because Havertz really offers us even more than Jesus. And it's
yeah.
not a knock to Jesus because he's a clear cut winner. We know that he's been to City and he knows how to win. But I think it's going to be tough for him to get in there.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like with Jesus, like I think so far, like I think his performance have been a bit underwhelming. I mean,
Mhm.
I always think it's important for us fans to consider the fact he has had a lot of injuries, but
Mhm.
I think this season, sort of what he was saying, it made us sort of believe that he was gonna have a fresh start this season. He was gonna, if this is his last season, he's gonna do really have a positive season.
Mhm.
But for me, yeah, I don't know, like, it's not really going how it should be. I mean, I also look at it and I think the games, like the cup games as well, like Bolton, I thought maybe we could have seen a bit more of him, but I think we've got to sort of see how the season goes. Like you said, I mean, Martinelli, he started to get his confidence back, which
Yeah.
is amazing. And it was weird because people were having those conversations about him leaving, and now, we look at him and thinking, how many goals could he score? He's going to have a good season. And I do think as well, like the left hand side now, Calafiori as well, obviously playing games, he's starting to look a lot more confident. I think the left hand side, we always used to speak about how great Saka is on the right. On the left, it wasn't,
Yeah.
it was sort of like our weakness in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. He
Yeah,
because with Saka, of course, they're going to double him. With Gabby, I've never. I mean, that Martinelli is just such a special player to me, and I mean that almost as a person kind of thing,
yeah.
not even a footballer. I think he has all the qualities about himself to be a world class player. Is he a world class player now? No, I would not say he is, but
Mhm.
he has that potential. And I think at some points, I think he just needs to slow down that brain of his sometimes because he gets that ball and the feet start moving and he's
Yeah.
thinking too much. All he needs, in my opinion, is just is support and is a little bit of refining. And Arteta is the perfect person to do that. And as Arteta knows, as we're talking about him, it's a results driven business for Arteta to bring him trophies and things. Well, with the players, it's a results driven business too. So you have to get on the score sheet to stay in there. So the competition's high, and I love that. because Trossard's just sitting right there, even though I love him so much off the bench.
Oh, he's amazing off the bench,
Oh, he
isn't
just
he?
comes on.
Yeah.
He understands it so well. What a find he was. I think Brighton,
Oh, yeah,
their scouting is ridiculous, if you ask me. I think they do a fantastic job.
it's so weird with Trossard because I mean we are seeing more from him when he starts a full game. We do actually see goals from him a bit more
Mhm.
now, but it's weird off the bench. He just has different impact. Like if he's coming off the bench, he's probably going to score, and it's
Yep.
so nice to have that confidence in a player. Like for me, it reminded me a bit of when Giroud used to come off the bench. You sort of knew he was going to do something, and it's great because I know Trossard wasn't our first choice, and looking back, why wasn't he our first choice?
Right. Was that
Yeah,
was that Mudryk? Is that
yeah.
for
I
you?
remember, like, I don't know if Arsenal were getting him, but we were linked to Mudryk for such a long time, and I
Right.
thought I think we were going to get him, and obviously, do you know what I think with Trossard being in the Premier League, you see him a lot when he was at Brighton, and
Mm.
he always scored against like the big teams like Liverpool. And when he came in, I don't know what I expected of Trossard, but I didn't expect this. Like he's just
No,
blown us away.
absolutely. Wholeheartedly did not expect any of this.
Yeah,
The
he's
money they
been
paid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air coming in, and I know before you mentioned about Havertz, and I wanted to chat about him because honestly, like I'm just so impressed by him. Like I think when he came in, some of us were a bit unsure. Obviously, being at Chelsea, he struggled, and
Mhm.
I sort of thought to myself, maybe him being a new environment, a new manager, it could work out, and it's been honestly so amazing. To watch, and I'm just so delighted to have him here. But for you, like, obviously sometimes it does feel like we do the striker as well. But do you feel like Havertz could win us a league on his own, or do you feel like maybe we need to bring someone else in, or he can just do it?
At this point, since I'm not a huge fan of the January transfer window,
Yeah, it's
for a
never
couple
great.
different reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it fun at times? Sure, why not? Like it's cool to see that, but just from obviously from an injury standpoint, it does make sense to have it. But with this team, I wouldn't mess with anything in season at least. So with Havertz, I do think that he's the kind of person that can get us up top. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
many goals he's going to actually score up top, but I love his runs. I think he'll open up room for even Saka, for even Martinelli down the slots. And I when we were rumored with him, I was like, okay, like where does he
Yeah.
fit in? But then I saw the price tag, and I'm like, you know what? Like this is a heck of an opportunity for a player. And
Mhm.
basically, I walked away with saying, if Arteta wants him, I'm on board. Let's get him.
Yeah.
So, and it did not start off all fairy tale like, because really we didn't know where he was going to slot in at. They said he could drop back in the midfield, but even his time at Chelsea, I liked him up top. I loved his physicality. He doesn't shy away from anybody. He can go up against the Van Dykes and things of the physical nature. So I would not sign our striker, unless some incredible
Mm.
opportunity kind of rolled in.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like January, it's always a weird one because nothing really happens. Like, not many players you'd really are available. The summer's the big one, really. But
Yeah.
I think in January, I think it would be good if it's not a striker, if it's more maybe like a difference maker, someone that could maybe come in and just give us a bit of energy throughout the rest of the season. I mean, we have got Sterling, and at the moment, I feel like it's a bit hard to judge him
Yeah.
because Bolton, he was very good, but obviously he played in our last game, and we saw glimpses, but he's not really had the chance to really get into the game, or. I mean, I think he's really good. I think he has good moments, but I think with Sterling, I think we would need him, I suppose, if we're going to have injuries or for the second half of the season. I think it's going to be important. But for you, like with Sterling, like, do you think he'll be more of like a bench player, or do you think? I mean, Sterling's obviously going to come here to help us win the league, and he'll have that in his mind. And he's worked with Arteta before, and I know for him, you will obviously want to play, but we also know that Martinelli will always start on the left. Obviously, at the moment, of course, he will, and we know Saka's not injured, he's always going to start on the right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be, yeah.
Yeah. And with you, I mean, if you were looking to sign somebody in January, you're going toward like a kind of a wide player, or would you be looking at something else?
Do you know what it is? Like, if I do believe we need a striker, and I think if we want to win the league, it would help us, and I think we all know that. But I think if there's not really any options out there and up until the summer, then okay. But I just think if we could bring someone else in that could help us score more goals, I think
Yeah.
possibly what we need because, I mean, there will be some games where it'll be quite a tight game and we might struggle. And I think just be good to have a bit of a difference maker, in the team. But if there's no one out there available, January is always tough. I mean, I'd rather us go out for someone in the summer that's, exactly what we need. But I think in
Yes.
the meantime, we do need someone to really help us score those goals if we're struggling a bit.
Yeah, and especially, aerially, I would like to have that as well. If we had, a Giroud that would be able to, and Kai's been doing that.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy, so I think that's great too. And we, of course, with Gabriel, our center backs can get in there as well. But a striker with some head ball goals would be kind of nice. That would just be because we've all been watching Arsenal for so long, and we just love to pass the ball into the net. That's just what we want to do. And it would be nice to get some of those goals because really with Saka obviously doing the corner, he's been fantastic. But
Yeah.
we can bring some great deliveries in. I think Ben White's good. I think Timber.
Mm.
I'm just over the moon about that guy.
Yeah, he's been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like this is the reason why I wore this one is because that when we were talking before, I was like, I've literally never been to London, and I absolutely obsessed and have a passion for Arsenal. But I was able to go up to Washington D.C. to see them play in the MLS All-Star game. So
Oh,
like
I
that's
love
the only
that.
feather in my cap was I got to see Rice and Timber play before everybody else at the Emirates. So that's like the only cool thing I got to see. But you could see him even on that field. Timber.
Mm. Yeah, just do you know what? It's weird of Timber because I thought going to the season, I'm not going to expect too much of him because when you have that injury, it takes you a while to
Oh
come
yeah.
back. It might take you a season or two, and I thought let's just see what happens. But wow, like he's blown me away. He's done a lot better than what I thought, and I think the game that I really loved was when we played Spurs, and his passion was honestly amazing, and he was doing everything he could to win that game. And I just think his performances are getting even better, and it's sort of hard as well because we said before we love Ben White, he's amazing, but at the same time, does he start right now? I mean, Calafiori as well. Calafiori is an interesting one. I think Calafiori defensively can do better at times, but I think
Mhm.
in the attacking sense, he is amazing.
Yes.
And I think Calafiori's done exactly what we wanted him to do. But for Ben White, I know he's got a bit of an injury at the moment, but it would be hard for him to sort of come straight in the starting 11 because we've got these great options now to have.
Especially the back line. We can, talk at nauseum about, going forward, but I mean, really our two center backs, probably the best in the world right now. It's really tough to even argue that. And then the depth we have and getting Tommy back is such a great play.
Oh
He's
yeah.
just he just does everything right. He's always hard working. He covers his assignments and he just cannot stay healthy. It's rough
Oh,
with
it's a shame, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
He's
I feel bad for him because he's such a good player, and when he's so consistent, but with his injuries, it's a shame because these players can't help it. I mean,
yeah.
we sort of know. I mean, Partey, he's doing great, but we sort of know at some point he'll get an injury. It's just one of those. It's a shame, really. And there with the international break, I mean, I wanted to speak about that because obviously there have been a few players that have rested. I don't think Partey's gone away.
No, he has not, which
And
was yeah.
With Havertz, right, it has been said he has a knee injury, and I think it's more Arteta maybe wanting to rest him, or do you think he does have an injury?
No, I think he wants to rest him. I
Yeah,
think
I think so too. Yeah.
it's too early in the season. I think things have started out well, and I think Arteta doesn't want to roll the dice, and I don't blame him. And I feel for them, the national
Mm,
managers at times. I really do. But
yeah.
I mean, how much of the percentage of the year does that really take up? Even if it's not like a tournament,
Mm.
let's say a Euros or a World Cup or a Copa America or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think at the moment, like when England are playing, it's not. It's not really for anything important right now. So I feel
Mm.
like that's why I do worry about Saka, Rice, and these players that do start. But I think Arteta's doing the right thing, and I think he needs to because these are probably the most important players. Like Havertz, if Havertz ever gets injured or ever has a big injury, maybe our season could be done. Maybe our season it puts us in a difficult position because Jesus probably can't do what he can do.
Mm-mm.
And I think it's the right thing for me. I mean, Partey as well. I think that's another right thing because Partey, like we said before, I mean, last season he was out for a very long time, and I think if Partey wants to have a good season for Arsenal, I mean, we don't really know if it's his last season or if he's going to stay for a little while longer. But I think if we want to have a good chance of doing it this season, I think we've got to make sure these players are getting rested. So I think it's quite smart and I think it's quite wise really to do that because Havertz as well at the moment, he's on form, and I think for me, he's got to have that rest really in the international break.
No, absolutely, and just rest and recover. And just speaking
Mm.
about the English players, I think there's one English player that I feel for just so badly, and it's Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Just because, the
Mm.
meteoric rise when he came over to Arsenal and really the negativeness that really came along with him when he came in. Like, I agree. I saw the price tag and my eyebrows went up like, wait, what?
Mm.
I was never going to, that's not his fault. You cannot, berate a player because the market values a lot of money for him. It's like they didn't do anything. All they did was try to succeed. And so he comes over and he takes
Mm.
number one and runs with it. And then he gets called up to the English national team. And it's just all of a sudden the carpet right underneath his feet.
I do really hope he can get back to that
Me too.
international level because, do you know what? I mean, for England personally, I mean, I think Pickford is good. I mean, for England, he's much better than what he is for Everton. But I think Ramsdale, I mean, Ramsdale's having a bit of a hard deal because you look at our defence, you look at Southampton's defence, having that defence did help him, but he also maybe deserves to be at a club that's maybe a top six club. I mean, I think Southampton are just going to hope they stay up, and
Yeah.
it's so tough because I do think Ramsdale deserves a shot and being that number one in England. I really hope it does happen because he was part of the squad at one point, and I feel like he was so close to getting that. And
Yes.
then Arteta did drop in, and what happened. But yeah, Ramsdale, I'm really rooting for him because it'd be really nice to support him and get behind him. And obviously, it's not worked out at Arsenal, but I do hope he can get back there. But obviously, I think, right now because he's conceding a lot, it doesn't look too great on him, even though sometimes it might be defensive errors around the team. But yeah, Ramsdale, I hope he gets back. It would be amazing to see him as the number one.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on a top six club. I don't see a
Mm.
reason why he couldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Arsenal, like he did great, and looking back now, you see right, you can see he is an improvement.
Mm.
But you know what, I could really see, I would have really been able to see Ramsdale maybe at Newcastle, or you know what, even United. Obviously, I wouldn't want him at United ever, but
No.
United for me don't. I think Onana, isn't really an improvement, and I could just really see Ramsdale at a better club if I'm being honest. But obviously, yeah, it's kind of a shame as well because I know he used to be at clubs that were sort of fighting relegation. And he
Yeah.
came to Arsenal. It must be hard, being at nearly winning the league and then going back down to just trying to stay up. It's a lot to deal with, like a different type of standards at different clubs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that stress will do a lot to you. But I mean, but of course,
Yeah,
it helps you grow. It does
yeah.
help you improve, and there's no doubt about that. That helped him when he got to Arsenal for sure.
And it was amazing as well to sort of see that reception he got when we did play Southampton
Mm,
because I honestly thought he would have a really good game and I think he made some great saves, but I think it's nice to see that the love is still there between Arsenal and Ramsdale, and I think Ramsdale will always genuinely love Arsenal, but it didn't work out, and I think he's moved on. He's happy now to be able to play football regularly. I think that's what he needed really because he was only ever playing every so often in the cup games, and I honestly thought it wasn't really fair for him. I mean, for us, he's a good goalkeeper as well to help us. I mean, a backup. It's really weird. You look at him. We never really thought him as a backup, and now he
mhm.
was, and he's gone. But yeah, for England, I would absolutely love that. I hope it does happen one day. But yeah, the international break. It's sort of nice to, even though I love Arsenal, it's nice to just chat about the season so far because it's been really good, and I'm really
Mhm.
excited. We're going to have a lot of tough games coming up, but it's just nice for the season to be back because when the season's not gone, you do miss the team. You do sort of miss Arsenal, and it's amazing for the team to be back and playing. And I just really hope the season we can get silver. I mean, we're in a few cup competitions as well, which is obviously a great chance. We've got Preston coming up, and I think that'll be a really good chance for sort of the young players to start as well. And
Mhm.
I think we've never not taken a cup game seriously. I think we've always had Man City quite early on, and that's always been tough. But do you think if we say we didn't win the league, we missed out again, do you think we could still come out of the season with some silverware?
100%. I am very bully on our chances in the Champions League, and really, it all boils down to that back line. If that back
Yeah,
line stays healthy, I like our chances. Now that's a cutthroat tournament, man. That's why we love it. That's why we missed it all
yeah,
these years when we weren't involved. So I am, but personally for me, like it's always the EPL. It's the Premier League is my
yeah.
number
It's
one
always
trophy.
number one. Yeah,
That's it. That's
definitely.
never going to change. but the Champions League would be nice. And so yes, if I'm making any prediction, there's silverware at the end of the season, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I think like I always say, I mean, the Champions League, maybe we're not there just yet, but I think with the
Right.
league, we've got the squad to win the league. Like you said, if players are fit this season, we can win that. And I think it'd be nice maybe for us to get an FA Cup or League Cup as well. But it's going to be a really exciting season. I hope we can do it. But it's just amazing to sort of talk about the season so far, knowing that we've not even lost a game yet. We've obviously had a few draws, but we're on a really positive time right now for Arsenal, and it's just amazing. Yeah, I can't wait for the season to come back. I mean, after the international break, it's going to be great. I think we have Bournemouth, so that's probably a good game for us to come back into. And
Yeah.
fingers crossed, these players don't pick up any injuries. Saka, Rice, please don't get injured. Hopefully,
Yes.
but Ryan, I do really appreciate you coming on my channel. And before we
Yeah.
do round the show up, do you want to just tell people where they could find you on social media to check you out or give you a follow?
Sure. I don't even have Facebook anymore, but I am on Twitter or X, I guess we call it
It's
now.
weird. I never call it actually. I'm always like it's Twitter, but
Yeah, my profile picture is I'll never change it. It's a picture of Henri and Saka.
I love that.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
it makes
You
me
can't beat
makes me.
that. Yeah.
Oh, they're
Oh,
both of them smiling, and Henri's got the hand on the hip. Oh, I love it.
I love that. That's
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
but Bryan S15 at x.com is my handle. And
Yeah, guys, please do follow Bryan because honestly, like, this was amazing. We're gonna do this again soon because when the season's back, we'll definitely do more stuff together because I've really enjoyed this. But yeah, I hope you
yes,
guys have enjoyed this watching this back as well. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. I've really enjoyed listening to your opinions as well and your thoughts on Arsenal, your story. It's been nice to sort of look back on time, Emery, Wenger, and yeah, I love this. Thank you so much for coming
no,
on. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
absolutely, it's my pleasure. I love speaking with you as well, and I would be over the moon to do it again for sure.
Yes, definitely. We'll definitely do it. Hopefully after a win soon. But
Yes,
yeah, we'll do it after a
yes,
win definitely when we're all very happy. But yeah, guys, to those that will be watching this back, I hope you have enjoyed this. Please do like this video and please do subscribe if you are new to my channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.